Welcome back, everybody. This is episode number 17 of the Final Howl, and I'm your host, Zach Feigert. And on this week's episode, we're going to talk about what I do to get ready for a Coyote tournament. So I've had a few people reach out to me, ask me, what do I do different when I'm hunting a tournament versus just going out and hunting regular, so on and so forth. So I had enough of those. I figured I'd put together an episode here and kind of explain what we do and hopefully help out and answer a lot of those questions or help out somebody just beginning. Maybe somebody's thinking they want to get into a tournament, but it kind of makes them nervous. They don't know how to do it. So hopefully this will help you out. Before we get into that, I do want to say thank you to everybody that was in our giveaway. We were giving away a 1-year subscription of Elite Plus to DeerCast, and that ended the end of January. So if you entered into that, make sure you check your inboxes for us to message you and get the information we need to get you your subscription to DeerCast. And even if you didn't enter into this and you're still curious about DeerCast, you can still get the free version of DeerCast. There's still a lot of cool tools in there for free for a mapping agent. So just go over there, go to DeerCast, and check it out. So next, I want to say thanks to everybody that is listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you're listening, you're following, subscribing, commenting, liking. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody that's doing that. It means a lot to me. I sure appreciate it. So with that being said, let's jump into what I do for a tournament. So I think the first thing for anybody to do, if that's interests you, you're like, man, I've been coyote hunting, I'd really like to see what these tournaments are about, is there's basically a tournament format out there for about anybody at any place in the country. Whether it's most coyotes, biggest 3, biggest 5, they're everywhere now. And plus the local tournaments, man, there's a flyer daily I'm seeing of somewhere new, whether it's for your volunteer fire department, FFA, hunting club. There's all sorts of cool things. So I guess if you're hunting into those, that's more about helping the cause out than it is winning anything, right? Like, we're all about donating to a good cause, hunters helping out, and just going out and having fun. At that point, that's a little different than hunting more of a, contest style of hunters against hunters type thing. So if there's a good reason, like, a cancer benefit, God forbid, or to help somebody out, house fire, your local fire department, local game and fish, whatever it is that's putting on a tournament for a benefit, just go do that anyways. I think that's awesome. People using that for a way to help people out. But if you're just looking into like, hey man, this might be a way to make a few extra $100, or some of these tournaments a few $1,000, but I want to get good at this. Here's some things that I think are things you need to look at to help you out. First off is you need to figure out what you're going for. You need to figure out your team. A lot of these tournaments are, up to a 4-man team. I think there's some with more, but most I've seen are 4-man team limits. So you need to kind of be like, hey, do I want to do this by myself and go solo? Or I have a buddy that I hunt with all the time that we can do this together. Or 3 more of us, however many people it is. So once you kind of figure out the format you want to hunt and you get 2 or 3 guys together, now we just need to figure out exactly what kind of tournament. Do we just want to do local tournaments, or do we want to do an online tournament? And reason why I think that's a little different is when you're doing an online tournament, you need to be realistic with your goals. If you're somewhere to where, man, we can go out and we can kill 15, 20 coyotes a night, then you probably want to find that tournament that's most coyotes, more than likely. But if you're either A, just beginning, or B, you just don't have that many coyotes in your area, but you like, man, I know for sure I can kill 3 or 5 coyotes a night. Like, that's a good night for us. I'm pretty confident in doing that. Then you probably want to find your biggest 3, your biggest 5. So you just got to kind of find what tournament that is. Check out message people that are in that tournament group or whatever, and kind of go back and read and see. A lot of times they post inside of those what won. So you can kind of see, can I compete with these guys? Is this kind of my skill level, my skill set? So, once you find that, then, okay, we read the rules, we find out everything we got to have, scales or whatever they, require out of you. Once you kind of narrowed all that down, now we start looking at our team dynamic. You want to try to have a guy that does the calling every time. You want to have a guy that does the mapping. We all probably have that one team member that you're just like, this guy's a nut. That's all he uses is that stuff. So you have a guy that always does the planning and the mapping. And then, the vehicle. What vehicle are you going to use? So you're constantly hunting out of the same vehicle. And you start developing this rhythm, this routine of every time we go out, we know, hey, Frank's running the call. Bob's got all of our spots mapped out. He knows, he's looked at the weather. He knows what's going on here. We're taking this truck every time. The call always goes here. The tripods always go here. The guns always go here. The bags always go here. So, excuse me. So you start really honing in on these skills. And then when you go get set up on a stand, let's say there's, say you're running a 3-man team. It's the same 3 guys always hunting together. We know that, like, okay, hey, Frank's really good at these long shots. He's a better marksman out there, 600, 700, 800 yards than we are. So when a coyote comes in, it just hangs up out there. During a tournament, instead of messing with this coyote for, 20, 25 minutes for it just to still be sitting out there, if that coyote comes in, it's really not showing interest, but it's staying still enough. You got the right weather and all that, right area. It's like, Frank, just shoot this thing and let's get it in the truck. So we just know for a fact, hey, there's no talking between. We know he's making the shot. He's the long shot. Or all 3 of you do the count. However you want to do it as your group, you need to have that figured out, what you do in that situation. You need to have it figured out to where if there's 3 or 4 of you and a double comes in, you need to already have it figured out that, no matter what, the guy on the left always takes the left dog. The guy on the right always takes the right one. Even if they're crisscross and all that, we don't think of that. It's just, if somebody's going to do the counting, then we start perfecting the counting. Whether we're going to shoot on 3 or shoot on 0 or shoot on 1 or me and Bill don't count at all. I just say, I'm ready. I go, ready? He says, yep. And then I shoot. And then as soon as he hears the click of my gun, he's shooting too. That works best for us in any kind of counting. So you need to really have that figured out, and try to play out all these different scenarios that could happen, because we all know it's always chaotic. And it never, ever goes really as planned. Something's always a little different somehow, some way. So you just need to try to get all this figured out and making all of these, I guess, I'm not necessarily meaning dry runs, but when you're just going out and hunting for the fun of it, you should always kind of be doing the same thing, treating it like it is a tournament. So everybody gets the hang of what they're doing. Now, once everybody kind of fits in to what their job is, what their specific skill set is, then you can really start honing in and really fine-tuning this. Because, like, we can start with kind of what I do when I'm calling. Now, nothing really changes much between what sounds or sound sequences or the time I spend on the stand. None of that really changes from when I'm regular hunting to where I'm tournament hunting. Because like I said, I pretty much hunt the same way all the time. So when I'm going out and calling, the only difference is on a tournament, I won't just hang out. Like sometimes, you get in a spot and it's like, man, this just feels right. I'm going to sit here and give it a little bit more time. When I'm hunting a tournament, I do my best to stick to the plan. If I say I'm only going to run this call for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, that's all I do. Then we pack up and we're out of there. I'm constantly changing until I find out what it is, those coyotes like to hear. And then I'm going to really hone in on that. If it's like, hey, they're really coming into a pup fight tonight, I'm just going to probably start with that and just play that. And just really, really key in on that sound. And if I do 2 or 3 stands back to back and nothing's working, or the sounds I'm choosing aren't working, like maybe earlier we made 4 stands and killed 4 coyotes all off of pup distress. Then all of a sudden we made 3 blank stands. I'm completely going to get away with pup distress and try something else. I'm not going to just keep beating a dead horse, I guess you could say. So that is maybe where that's a little different versus when we're just hunting. I tend to, get more relaxed with trying different things. So on the calling side of things, that's how I treat that. Now, another big thing to add to that is whoever you choose to do the calling for you that night, or that's in your hunting group, whoever's doing the calling, just remember, everybody that's called coyotes know how easy it is to get into your head. We've all been there where you make 4 or 5 blank stands and you think you're the worst coyote caller ever. And it's like, man, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Well, it sure as hell doesn't help when your teammate's standing over there telling you what to do. So, if you're sitting there trying to call, nothing's happening, everybody's getting a little frustrated, and you constantly have somebody going, try this, do that. That's not helping that guy's confidence out at all. So remember, it's a team effort. That's the person you chose. You got to have faith in them. So now we kind of got the guy that's doing the calling established. You got the guy that plans everything out. It does help if that can be 2 separate people. For the point is, in the heat of battle, I guess you would say, that guy doing the calling can just focus on calling. He doesn't sit there and worry about when the wind's going to change, when the cloud cover's coming in, the moon's rising or falling. So that guy planning, when he is looking into the night's hunt, okay, we can kind of back it up to be like, okay, we know we're calling in a tournament Saturday night. I'm the one doing the planning. I'm going to get my map out and I'm going to look at my weather on my deer cast. I'm going to look at my hourly, and I'm going to try to look at that weekend and be like, okay, we're going to have, 5 to 8 mile an hour west winds until midnight, and then they're going to switch out of the north and become 10 to 12 mile an hour for the rest of the night. I'm going to have a full moon, but yet the moon is going to be setting at, 10 p.m. But then I'm going to okay, do I have any cloud cover before then? Yes or no? No. Then you start laying your spots out. And it's okay, I know that, Frank's doing the calling and he's only going to stay on stand for 15 minutes max. So we're going to shoot for 2 stands an hour. So it's a 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. hunt. I want to have at least 24 stands figured out. Me, I like to figure out 30. I want all those extra stands in case, we have to make a complete pivot in the middle of the night. I'm ready for them. So I'm going to start laying these stands out according to what my deer cast is showing me, what my weather's, what the moon's doing, the cloud cover's doing, the wind speed. All of this comes into play when I'm laying out my stands. So I'm going to get all of this mapped out for us. I'm going to do all this scouting. I'm going to be driving around in the evenings or early mornings if I have time. Excuse me. And I'm going to try to figure out where I can hear these coyotes at. Maybe even going out, after you put your kids down in bed or get up early in the morning, leave an extra 45 minutes before you got to be at work and drive by some of these spots and, have your e-collar or your howler with you and rip off a few howls and see if you can't maybe locate and get an idea of where these coyotes may be at to kind of help you with your mapping. And like I said, guys, I know this kind of sounds like next level stuff to some of you guys, but this is some of the stuff that really separates, the guys that are killing 2 or 3 and the guys that are killing 10 or 15 in the same area. It's knowing where everything's at, knowing the play, when to hold them and when to fold them type deal. So I've got all this planned out. And then I'll also have kind of a reverse plan, because I do know that if I get into a certain area during a tournament and I have made 4 or 5, at least 5 blank stands back to back, and I've been in the same area now for almost, 4 hours, 3 hours, and haven't heard or seen a soul, the life of a coyote or nothing, I'm probably packing up and I'm going 30 miles the other way. I'm completely going to abandon ship and get out of there. Especially if it's an area I know I generally have luck and nothing's happening, I get out of there. So I kind of have that backup plan. Now, don't let this overwhelm you, because once you get all your spots mapped out and waypoints, and once you've done all this homework already, then as the year goes on, it makes it so much easier, because you already have waypoints for all the spots with all the wind directions and, what spots do better with a full moon, to where I've got, I got a lot of cover here, so full moon's no big deal. Or once you get all that work done, then prepping week to week is super simple. It's just taking that initial step to get all of that done. But, let's go ahead and move on to where we've got option 1 and 2 and 3 planned out for the night. And so now you got a guy that's got everything planned out. You got a guy that has got, his calls figured out. He has done his homework. He has bought his new, BFA sounds, his new MFK sounds, his new, Tony TB sounds, Boss. He's bought all these different sounds. This guy's got his game figured out. He's just worrying about the calling he's ready to go. And then, whose ever vehicle they've got, that guy's got this thing, he's got all the chargers set up in the back of the truck to where when batteries go dead, we take a full one out of our pack. Boom, we put the empty one right on charger. Even though we got 4 other charged ones in the pack, we still have a continuous supply of them. We've got the truck stocked up with, the cooler to where we've got extra waters and, energy drinks. I'm a coffee guy myself, but, you got all that stuff ready. We got the spots where all the tripods go, where the calls go. You got extra hot hands, extra gloves. You got all this stuff. This guy's got his rig figured out. We are ready to go. And now we get ready. It's Friday night. The tournament's on, Saturday night. So I'm probably going to try to work out a deal with my wife or whoever and be like, hey, I'm going to try to sleep in a little bit Saturday. I'm going to try to stay up. But I don't want to try to stay up and only sleep 2 or 3 hours. You want to get a good, solid night's sleep. Because if you plan on trying to kill, a coyote every other stand and make that many stands, you're going to be hustling. It's going to be it's a grind. So make sure you are very, 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 very well rested. That's a huge thing. So now we got good and rested up. Our Saturday, we've got everything ready to go. Everybody's doing their part. So now Saturday night comes, you all have a meetup location, and now we've got set up to where everybody's got their tripods, their rifles, their scopes. Everybody's got their extra batteries. Everybody's got plenty of ammo. We got all this stuff laid out. If anybody has, if you don't quite have room in your rig, then whatever that meetup central point is, you should have, an extra tripod. Even if it's just a cheap old camera tripod or something, it doesn't matter. It's always nice to have that extra tripod ready to go, that extra saddle or, Arca plates, few of those little things that can break or go wrong. Somebody's got an extra scope, an extra scanner, whatever. Have an extra, rig set up. Even if you don't want to put it in the truck with you, just have it there in the garage ready to go. Extra call. Make sure you got an extra call charged up. The guy doing the calling, if he's familiar with it. If not, you might have to make that kind of pivot in the middle of the night to where, I run a Lucky Duck, but, Frank runs a Fox Pro. I don't know nothing about running a Fox Pro call, but if my call breaks in the middle of the night, hey, I might take over the mapping and he might, start doing the calling. Or just help him out with it somehow. Get ready to make that pivot, but having an extra call is vital. I used to be so religious on having an extra call. That one over my shoulder right here, my original Revolt. I got the Super Revolt, and that thing has done wonders for me. Well, I had a problem with it. If you've heard in the past, it broke on me, and we were in a tournament. I'm like, one of the few times I've never brought it. I should have. But I still had it. It was still here. Luckily, Miranda was charged it or plugged in for the charger for me, and it got us through the night. But, have all that stuff, even if you never use it, even if it's just you don't have room to bring it, have it back at the shop ready to go. And trust me, if something ever breaks on you and you're one coyote from winning or, whatever style tournament you're hunting in, and it breaks on you, and then you got to freaking dig it out and try to find it, or be like, oh, I got this old call, I just haven't charged it forever. And it's just nice to have all that stuff ready for you. So you've got all this all planned out, all of your extra stuff, the truck's loaded up. You've done your little ritual, to get ready. We know the rules. We know we got to have the right set of scales. we got to have these type of zip ties. You know, we got to do this for the video. Whether it's an eye shine, whatever, shake test, we know who's going to do what. You know, we know I'm going to run the camera every time, you know, and Bill's going to, you know, do the flop jaw, you know, eye shine, shake test, you know, whatever's in it, you know, that's how it works. And you do it the same every single time. Then it becomes, you know, a habit. You know what to do. We go out and we start the night and we start calling. And, you know, you've got a plan in your head. You just know, I'm going to go to this spot, and then it just starts flowing. Everybody knows when we get on stand and, you know, a double comes in, there's no talking, there's no communicating. We just know this is how it's going to work. We're going to shoot them. We're going to walk out. We're going to do our video for the tournament. We're going to drag them back. And then once we get dragged to where we were setting up at, you know, if we got 2 coyotes, then, you know, we're going to sling our guns over our shoulders. And, you know, one guy's just going to take off walking with dragging both coyotes. The other guy's going to grab both tripods in the call and come following up. We'll have, by the time we get to the truck, I've got the couple thrown in the back. The tripods are going in, the call's in the back. We know where everything's at, and we're on to the next one. You know, a single comes in, say you go out, you do your video. Drag it back, get everything set up or picked up to the truck. Quick gear check, got this, and this. We know where everything's at, and repeat. So, you know, you start doing this through the night, and another thing to always remember is it can change in a heartbeat. You got to take full advantage of every opportunity given to you in a tournament. We've lost tournaments where we've lost by 4 ounces before. You know, we've lost by 1 coyote before. And we always sit back and go, we missed 2. You know, we missed 1. We missed 3 that night. And it's like, man, could have that one we missed, it would have been the one more coyote. Or, man, that one could have been, you don't know, it could have been that 37-pounder, or it could have been that 44-pounder, you know, to help you win big dog or to win small dog or win most, heaviest 3. So if every opportunity it's given, you want to be able to take advantage of it. And that's where practicing of, I guess not yet practicing, but the repetitiveness of hunting with the same people and each person doing the same thing every single time you go out. Then when it comes tournament time, you're going to be on your game. You're going to know exactly what the other person's doing. If tournaments aren't your thing, then just go have fun, do you. And you, even if you're doing tournament, you should still be having fun. It's just you want to try to stay consistent. You know, the tournaments that I feel that we won and we had the best results in, or we placed the highest in, are the tournaments to where we have taken advantage of every coyote that came within our wheelhouse to where we were able to take them. We capitalized on every moment. We were thorough with everything we did throughout the night leading up to it, of all the scouting and just the teamwork. Like, it was flawless. And then we go out and we have nights to where it's just the world's falling apart on us. They're not answering. And, you know, you're 6 hours into it. You haven't heard a coyote. You haven't seen a coyote. You're starting to see guys in those group chats falling off. They're quitting early. And then it's like, man, should we do the same? Like, we ain't seeing nothing. Well, the last tournament that we won, we killed 6 coyotes in the last like 2 hours of the tournament. We hunted for like 9 hours straight and never seen a coyote, heard a coyote, nothing. And killed 6 in the last 2 hours. So that should tell you something, that, it can change at any given time you're out there. So just stay at it. And if whatever plan it is you come up with, as long as you stick to the plan and you are confident in the guy that's calling, it's like, man, I know this dude's doing his job. So you're not over there like, oh, why aren't you playing this? Or maybe you should do this. Maybe you should do that. Don't doubt him any more than he's already doubting himself. Let him do him. And, don't sit there and be like, we probably should have sat over here instead of over here. And there's a reason why you put this guy in charge of the planning, because he's already on nights like that beating his head in and going, why am I coming here? Why am I doing this? We're not seeing anything. Is it me or is it the callers? Like, quit doubting. Like, if this is something you've done and you guys have practiced and put this together, have faith in what you did, because it's coyote hunting at the end of the day, man. Like, I don't care who you are. There are people that get humbled daily with these things. You can go out and like think, man, look at this. It's 22 degrees and it's a 5 to 6 mile an hour, perfect, beautiful west wind. It's dark. Not a cloud in the sky. The pressure's high. You'd think these things would be howling and running all over hell. And maybe you might see them out there, out there running around, frolicking, and they don't care what you're doing. And it's like, what am I doing wrong? And then you turn around and go out the next night and it's crappy out and it's misty and it's just nasty and it's like you can't do nothing wrong. They're just coming to your lap. You pull into a spot, you get set up, and they're coming, and you're not even calling. And then vice versa. You'll have a crappy night, nothing happens, and a beautiful night, and it all happens. These things are just, they're amazing, amazing animal. They're a predator. And so I guess to kind of wrap this up is just make sure you're having fun. You're having fun with your hunting partner or by yourself. And there's so many of these tournaments out there. I'm starting to see more and more and hearing stories of guys that are kind of shady that are putting these things on. I think they're just in it because they're like, they can see a quick payout. So just make sure you're vetting some of these tournaments. Be careful if you're finding online tournaments. Before you go sending anybody any money, just go back and really, really vet these pages or these groups you're finding. And find other hunters, message other hunters in there. See what their experience is, how they liked it. You can about tell if a lot of these groups you get accepted into, and you can go back and see, okay, this guy's put on a tournament every weekend for the last 2 years or year, and read the comments in there. And man, there's nothing but positive comments. Nobody's really bitching and moaning about anybody cheating or taking advantage of it. A lot of them post the results from the past week's tournaments inside that same post. So you can kind of go back and look and be like, hey, look, 111 pounds seems to be the average out of three, the big three. Okay, that's 37, 38 pound average. We could probably do that. Or the smallest dogs, always average 22 pounds. That seems doable. Or biggest, seems to always be a 39 pound coyote on average. You can kind of look at these things, do your homework, do your research, And you can really find where you belong. Or, you just might not be cut out for it. I don't know. Like, I'm not trying to sound like I'm an expert at this by any means. It's just I get asked these questions a lot, and I've got a lot of experience of every winter for the last 6 winters have been doing a tournament almost up until this year. We were doing them almost weekly, and we tried and have done a lot. There met a lot of cool people along the way, a lot of great dudes running some of these tournaments, that have in the past that aren't running them now. Some guys just put on one tournament a year, and they've done it every year for 5 years. So them are kind of the ones I'm telling people to go look for. Like, don't go, I guess, getting a bad taste in your mouth and then never doing one again just because somebody ran a crappy tournament. So do your research, figure it out, find your place. I hope this really helps somebody out that is wanting to get into doing tournaments, and you can take something about what we do and kind of maybe mold it into your own deal. Just make it your own. You can never copy what somebody else is doing and expect success. You got to be your own person. You got to go figure it out yourself and learn what's best for you and your team. And so I guess we're just going to end it there. And thank you for subscribing, following, tell your friends. I appreciate all of that. And everybody, make sure you're sighted in and go shoot straight. See ya. Thanks.